Hi, welcome to How I See It, episode 11. Today I'm going to talk about my experience of my borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is one of the conditions I have, it is my core condition. And what that means is that other issues that I have are more of a piggyback onto the BPD. If my BPD gets worse, then my depression and anxiety gets worse. If it gets better, then those get better. I also take medication to help deal with the symptoms of depression and anxiety that are pretty much the tag-alongs of my BPD. A little background. I grew up in a very repressive household with a mother who never got any kind of diagnosis because there was nothing wrong with her. But she was very paranoid about what people really thought of her. She had this chip on her shoulder about being stupid, being made fun of. And so a lot of times you could say something completely innocent and she would think you were making fun of her. Her perception of facts were not real. And so if I was going to diagnose her, given the various things I've read and seen, I would say that she was a narcissist with a paranoid personality disorder. This was a woman who very much wanted everybody's attention drawn to her. My brother and I, were not individuals. We were extensions of her. It was always, this is my daughter, my grandbaby, even to the point of opening up my gifts. I never had a baby shower, but she actually showed me what I got from various people that would give her things to give to me. She showed me rather than me showing her. And she didn't think that that was out of line. And she was also a very cruel person at times. Could say really, really mean things. Like, I remember being told that I killed our cat because I picked him up and I dropped him. I was 4 or 5 and I was told that. But the cat was already dying. I found out later on the cat was already dying, and my mom probably gave it some pills that probably killed it. On another occasion, I was told that I would have had a little sister or brother, but I was such a little bitch that my mom had to kill the baby. Okay? That was mom. Dad, on the other hand, Dad was diagnosed as bipolar when I was around 12 or 13. I don't think that that's what Dad had. I think that Dad had borderline personality disorder. And Dad was very invalidating and very mean. When he would get mad at me or my brother, it was, you're stupid, you're worthless, the typical things that you really should not ever say to another person, much less your child. But I forgive my dad, because my dad actually, when I became an adult, my dad said to me, I am so sorry that I said those things to you. And I didn't mean them, and I have never felt that you were stupid or worthless. That meant a lot to me, that he owned up to the bad parenting, and he apologized. My mother never owned up. You could get her to admit something like right after she did it, but the next day, all of a sudden, I didn't do that. I never said that. Just complete denial. Um, so that was my childhood, growing up with them. As an adult, I mean, once I got a car, the freedom, because I was also in a very stifled type of thing. Like my dad wouldn't let me do a lot of stuff. My mom, if I pitted, if I was in a phase of not talking to my dad. I mean, in my house, it was I talked to mom, my brother talked to my dad. I could lie to my mom. My mom was stupid. She really was. I mean, when it came to, I could come up with a lie that she'd just buy it, and she wouldn't a lot of times tell my dad. My dad might have seen through it, but my mom didn't. Once I got to 16 and got a car and all that, I just kind of went wild. Now, when I say wild, it's not like some people did. I mean, I started smoking weed, drinking here and there, being places that I wasn't supposed to be, parties and boyfriends' houses when I was supposed to be at work or at a school function or at church. That should have been mom's first clue. But that was, once I hit 18, where I didn't have to account for anything, I mean, my parents didn't really, once I was 18, I really hate that I would spend so much time away and not call them, not check in. I mean, I probably scared the crap out of them. I'd disappear for a week. And I was out having fun. And I am very, very fortunate, given all the high risk behavior that I did, that the worst thing that ever happened to me was just that I would get sick and end up in the hospital. Because my BPD didn't really start making my life difficult until I was about 19, and I started getting sick and having anxiety attacks, but I didn't know that's what they were. And eventually got on some medication and stuff, but I'm not like normal borderlines. Like, I don't have these phases of, I don't have these like, I have manic phases, but not like true BPD sufferers normally do. Like, I don't throw things, I don't get mean and scream and do stuff. My husband says I scare him, but it's different. It's not like, like with a lot of borderlines, it's, ooh, you scare me. They're afraid you're going to hurt yourself or you're going to accidentally hurt somebody else. Like, you're going to get in your car and you're going to ram it into a tree because you're just like, I'm mad and I'm acting out. And that's not really how I do. What scares my husband is when I look at him when he's throwing a fit and I say, you're done. That's it. Because he doesn't know what I'm going to do. Nobody knows what I'm going to do. And it's not that they're, it's not that, oh, she goes psycho. Because I don't. I abhor confrontation. Like, I don't know how to handle it when somebody's yelling in my face or whatever. Don't do well that way. So I'm not an act out type of person. I am more of a, if I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna find a little quiet place to go cry, or I'm gonna pretend I'm going to sleep. I'm gonna say I'm done with this day. I don't, and it's because I've repressed all that. It's because my whole life it was always, calm your ass down. There's no reason for you to be that happy. Or you've got no reason to be that mad. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Through my parents, I learned to repress all those major emotions. To where most of the time there's just this feeling of, I feel nothing. or flat out apathy, that I just dislike everything, and it's like, I am what they call a quiet borderline. I don't act out. I don't take risks. And when I say I don't take risks, a lot of times I won't take any steps. Like, I am so afraid of what can happen. I'm always like 3 or 4 steps ahead of it, that I won't take that step until I can figure out 3 steps ahead of that. And if I can't figure out the 3 steps, if the 3 steps is like, this could turn out badly, I won't. I chose not to. I was going to say chose, but I actively choose this. I actively choose not to go to school because of the fear that I will put forth all that time and energy, and then I will get into the field that I want to be in and hate it and not want to stick with it. It's because with borderline, we get bored so easily, and boredom leads to self-sabotage. It leads to doing things to shake things up. And when a borderline does something to shake things up, it's normally not a good thing. It may not be a catastrophic thing, but it's normally not a good thing. And the really sad thing is that when you get that idea to shake things up, when you're borderline and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna do this, if you actually feel something, that really makes you want to do that, because we spend so much time not feeling anything that doing something bad feels really good. It feels better than doing something good, because when you do something good, it's like, it's good, you're doing something that you're supposed to do, and you just feel nothing from it. But when you're doing something bad, like if you are in an argument with somebody, getting into some shit with somebody, you start to feel something, and that's very addictive to a borderline. I recognize it in myself, so I know that when I feel that way, I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing. I'm doing something with consequences, and that normally stops me from keeping on that track, because that's the pull of it. You want to feel something. You want to feel. A lot of borderlines are cutters or piercers, people who get tattoos. These are things that make us feel. I don't cut because I don't like the way that feels. And the cutting thing, I can tell you, is typically about control. We're not likely to want to go break our arm, because that's a pain we can't control. Piercings, tattoos, cutting, that's pain that you can control. And a lot of us do that because we want to feel that pain, but it's not something that's so overwhelming that, because we've dealt with overwhelming pain and we've learned to shut down from it. We've learned to shut it off. And you're actually supposed to feel things. And I can honestly say that my anxiety triggers are unknown to me because of all of the I can't deal with this, so I'm not going to deal with this sort of disassociation thing that I have going on. But borderline is so much like bipolar that it's often misdiagnosed. I was misdiagnosed for quite a while. And I took it. I mean, I've known I was borderline since I was 16. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 25, 26 years old. I went ahead and took their treatments for bipolar, and it never helped. The antidepressant side of things helped tremendously. I mean, before I was on antidepressants, I just lay on the floor and cry because I couldn't find anything to wear, or oh, I've got to make a phone call. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as, I'm hungry, I want to order pizza. Oh, I gotta call it in. You know, and just bawling over that. So the antidepressants helped out tremendously with that aspect of things. But as far as wanting to engage in drug use, alcohol, promiscuity, gambling, shopping, all of those things, it did not help with those things. It did not curb my obsessions. It did not stop new ones from appearing. It did not stop my racing mind when I'm trying to go to sleep. It didn't, and I tried all kinds of, because I mean, I was willing to go with the psychiatrist diagnosis of bipolar. I was like, okay, you know, well, fix me. And I wish I was bipolar. I wish it over being borderline personality disorder, because there is no medication that can fix the way that my mind works, the way that I process my feelings, my emotions. There is nothing except therapy, and you have to get the right therapy, which I have not gotten. But I found out recently that my lack of getting the right therapy is that as much self-therapy as I do, I've never done the work in therapy. I've expected them to lead me, and they haven't. And the thing is that you have to give a therapist what goals you want. And my goals at this point in time are to access my feelings. I need to feel things when they come up, you know. I mean, if I need to know what anger is outside of my dreams, because when I dream, I see in what I call full color. I can feel everything, and I need that in real life. When something should make me mad, I want to be mad, and then learn how to process that so that it's not just like sitting in some feelings vault causing problems. And that's my BPD, is that I function fairly well at home. I don't work because I can't work, because no job will give me the variety that I have to have. And once I get bored, the anxiety kicks up, the stress, and then there's the whole, like, I don't have the same boundaries as everybody else does, and I get talked to about things that I say that are misunderstood, misinterpreted, turned around, and then I'll cry a lot, and then I start to associate my place of work with, they don't like me, they hate me, I'm a fuck up, I shouldn't talk to anybody, I shouldn't, you know, I should just keep my head down and do, you know, not talk and all that. And then when you go to work and you're not talking and everything, then people say you got an attitude problem because you're not being as friendly as you were before, because you're busy stifling this part of yourself, because when you don't stifle that, you get talked to. I mean, it's very anxiety causing. I get along well with coworkers. It's the higher ups that tend to really do my head in. And when I do find, somebody who's actually, like the managers that are really cool about stuff, that never talk to me about anything because they get me, they leave, and then new people come in, and those new people do not get me. So as much as I have worked and had coworkers stand up in my defense, management, saying things, I could handle criticism. But when they're getting on to me for being me, when I am not this like balls to the wall bitch, I am not somebody who's at work talking about sex and drugs and partying. I'm just at work talking about my kids or something I saw in the parking lot, and I'm not cussing, just having a conversation with my coworkers while getting a job done, taking care of customers. If I can't be myself, it really starts to eat away at you. And it got to where I can't be around that. There's just too many people that are just too stuck up about what's appropriate and what's not, and then you see other people being so much more inappropriate, and those people never get talked to, and then that really starts to eat at you too, that why are they picking on me? And then sitting there going, they're not picking on me, they're not picking on me, and just like having all this internal conflict all the time when you're already mentally ill. It's a stressor. And I hate that I can't work. I hate it. Because I do want to be useful. I do want to go out and do those things. But it got to the point after 14 years of the same shit happening over and over and over again. The thought of going to a job interview just sends me to bed. It's just like, I cannot handle it. I can't. And I try really hard, but it's gotten, my anxiety's gotten to the point where I can barely make it to my appointments to see the doctor. So that is my BPD, how I see it. And if you ever notice that I don't spend a lot of time looking, it's because I don't want to see myself. I don't like to look at myself. Depending on how I feel during the course of a day. Some days I can look at myself, some days I can't. That's poor self-image, typical with BPD. So this is a really long video. I'm gonna get off here now. Maybe tomorrow I'll talk about something else. I'm kind of running out of stuff that I want to talk about because nobody watches these. So have a good day.